Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas, and welcome back to Artist of the Month. Every month we sit down with an artist who's making an impact in our community, and this month we're flipping the script a little bit. So you normally see him asking all of the questions, telling all the stories, and creating the content, but today, my friend Stephen Walker is the artist, and you guys all know who this guy is. Actor, director, host of Living Local, and a creative force here at the station. So it's my honor and privilege to interview and to just talk about Stephen Walker, get to know him a little bit. You do a lot in the creative scene, so ladies and gentlemen, just please welcome this month's Artist of the Month, Stephen Walker. So Stephen, I guess people know who you are. You're a host, you're big in the lacrosse community theater scene, which is our sponsor of Artist of the Month, so shout out to them. Who are you for someone that maybe just moved into the area?
That's a great question. Who am I?
Yeah.
I a 20-year radio guy. I was in radio for a long time. My wife and I moved down here in 2012, and she did musical theater her whole high school career. She kept trying to get in at LCT. We did a show at a theater across town called The Muse. They needed more bodies, so they asked me to audition. I literally auditioned for Jekyll and Hyde with a Jimmy Eat World song, because Michelle and I were performing as an acoustic duo at the time. So I performed, I auditioned with that. They put me in the show, and I fell in love with everything about theater. So that from that moment on, I have done over 40 or 50 shows. No joke, that's not a hyperbole. I've directed a handful of shows, which is probably the best reason why I'm being featured this month, because we are opening a show in February, which we'll get to in a second. But I am a director, actor, creative person in town.
Yeah, you got to have those in this area for sure. So you interview artists all the time. This is your segment. And how does it feel to kind of be on the other side of the table here?
Nerve-wracking. You started that introduction, and I very nervous, like really. I can't even look in the camera really, which is strange given what I've done for the last couple of months. Nervous. I'm very nervous for no real reason.
Nothing to be nervous about. We're both creative guys here, but I was saying before we shot this, the interview, I'm excited to talk to you, and learn a little bit about you. I know the broad scope of you, but I'm kind of curious to see, and you already brought us into how you got into LCT and everything like that. So I guess going into the theater and LCT scene, what first pulled you into lacrosse community theater?
So I just got to softly correct you a little bit. LCT is probably the crown jewel, I guess. Those are my words, not anybody else's, but they're the most recognizable, I guess. But it's a whole theater community in town. As I said, I started over at the Muse, which a lot of people do shows over there. Throughout the time that I've been doing theater just in lacrosse, there has been Blue Lobster, Bailing and Company, the Pump House is doing shows, Gray Area is now still doing shows, and Director was doing shows. There's just a wealth of theater doers, not just goers, but doers. So while LCT is the big guy, I guess, in the room, they're by no way, shape, or form the only guy in the room. It's a theater community. They're the community theater.
Exactly, and I think that's important to kind of point out to someone maybe watching this who maybe didn't get a part with LCT. Do you want to explain how many other outlets there are in the lacrosse Cooley region area?
Sure, yeah. I'm glad you said Cooley region because, like I said, LCT, Viroqua's got a strong community theater, as well as the Underground Players are still doing stuff. There's a Shakespeare festival that they do. Their auditions are coming up very shortly. The Muse is still active as of right now. Gray Area is doing shows. They've got a show coming up, which is already cast out because it's a big show for them. I think it's an anniversary show. So their company is doing that one, but they will have auditions for whatever they do in the future. LCT is always doing shows, as I said. I don't, it's a weird kind of predicament here because there's stuff I know that I don't know has been published yet.
Sure.
So there's other stuff that's out there. Your best bet is to stay on your socials.
Yeah.
And then the best way to stay in tab is if you find someone that is doing anything, me, anyone you know, ask them.
Yep.
Ask them to bring you along and you'll get swept up in the wave, or you'll be like, those people are weird. I'm good. I'll watch. Whatever it is.
Yeah. Any creative groups, like for me personally, I like video and camera and being on social media and collaborating with others. Same thing goes with theater, in my opinion. It's working and creating and producing with other people that can really get you into that space, which is really just what makes this community so enjoyable, because there's a club and a spot for everyone.
Yeah, it's like one of our artists of the month, a guy who wrote a play that I directed twice because we did a stage reading and then a full production. One of the ways that he got his play fleshed out and written was because he was part of a writer's group. So, I mean, there's writers groups, there's poetry groups, there's artisanal artists groups like painters and whatnot. There's videographers, and those are just like locally. Then you expand out to social media and it's through the roof.
There's a ton. You just mentioned directing here, and you have done acting. You've done writing. You've done directing here. So I just want to go into acting versus directing and what scratches a different creative itch for you.
Sure.
Or is it like stages throughout life? You know, you did a bunch of acting, you kind of see the director direct, and you're like, I want to do that.
I was made to direct. I don't mean like born for it. I mean like I started a sketch comedy show with a bunch of friends of mine. Hardcore into the punk DIY, like I'm going to do it myself because nobody else is going to let me, right? Friend of mine asked me if you could do anything speaking theatrically in town, what would you want to do? And I was like, sketch comedy. So we started a sketch comedy show. We did one episode and I was like, I'm going to act in this thing. I'm the new Chris Farley, whatever was in my head. And one of the cast members, who's another good friend of mine, came up to me at the time. He's like, we need a director. There has to be a director. And instantly I was like, I'm the only one that can do that. I'm the only one that knows what this show's supposed to look like, I guess, blah, 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 blah. That led to 8 years of directing Live from the Cross. That itch, organizing it, being in control of what stories being out there, teaching, I don't know if there's anything else that lets me fire on all the cylinders I want to fire on.
Yeah.
However, acting is a different beast that I get to flex, that I love to do. And I can hone in on just one person and flesh that thing out, get the laughs, do the thing to just do my one part. That's like plumbing, right? There's rough plumbing and finished plumbing. Rough plumbing is directing, finished plumbing is acting, in my opinion.
So there's a lot of, when we talk about the theater experience, there's a lot of gauges here and gears that make it all one. Do you find it, beneficial that you kind of are a jack of all trades, where it's like you worked in different departments throughout the whole process?
Yeah, so I firmly believe that I was born of the wrong era. I am a 45-year-old Bob Hope in 2026. Like I alluded to, Michelle and I did music for a while. I did that because my wife sings like an angel and I wanted to give her the stage. She wanted to be in a band. I'm like, well, the best I can do is I've been kind of noodling on guitar to get girls since high school. So let's do a duo. So we did. I wasn't great at it, but I was good enough to play at coffee shops and stuff.
Sure.
This job, I'm not probably the best host, but I'm good enough at it. You're a
great host.
I can pretend to be charming enough that like it gets me to where I need to be. So I don't know that I'm ace number one, the best at anything I do, but my average across the 5 tools is good.
Yeah. And tons of experience. You've been doing it for a really, really long time.
I'm old. Thanks.
Yeah. Very, very, just decades and decades. No. I want to stay focused on directing because you got something coming up that you want to share with the audience here, and then I kind of want to go into this job. Living local host. You're an artist in that sense, but first let's let's hear a little bit about what you got coming up.
Yeah, and it ties into our sponsor. La Crosse Community Theater was gracious enough to tap me again to direct a show for them. And this one is a big one. For nerds in theater life, it is a very recognizable show. It's called Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. It's by Christopher Durang, written by Christopher Durang, who is a name that theater nerds will be like, ooh.
Yeah.
This play won the Tony for Play of the Year in 2013. Its original cast had David Hyde Pierce, who you might know from Frasier and a bunch of other things. Sigourney Weaver was also in the play. I'm blanking on the rest of them, but those are the two biggies. It's about siblings who are middle-aged, 55, late 50s, and the rivalry that comes up between three natural siblings. But it's also about hope and dreams.
What do you like most about this play?
The same thing that really turns me on about any of them that really have done something for me. I love plays that are about real people. I love plays that when you walk out going, oh, that reminded me of my aunt, or that was me, or I saw myself in that story.
Kind of hits home a little bit. Sure.
Like I said, I grew up in sketch comedy as far as this world goes, so comedy is always where I'm home to, so I like it when I can make you laugh as well, which this play is full of laughs, but it's one that's relatable. You'll understand if you have siblings, if you've ever had an aunt or an uncle that's crazy, if you've ever been looking at middle age and been like, I don't know what the world is doing now. If you've ever experienced life on any level, you'll understand what's going on. It's probably that that turns me on about this story.
Awesome. So this is coming out pretty soon here. A to Z, there's a lot to go into planning and directing this show. Do you have a favorite? Do you like the pre-production process? Do you like all right, we're a week out? Like, what is your favorite when you're looking at the timeline?
Right now, so while we're filming this right now, we're about a week and a half out from Tech Week. This is when I really start to get excited. Once we hit Tech Week, which is for the layman, Tech Week is when we start adding the technical aspects, right? So the play's been rehearsing for so long. We're now in the last week leading up to the opening. That's when we add lights and sound and costumes and blah, 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 blah. The technical aspect. This week and a half, if you're arcing right, at least in our volunteer army style theater, if you're arcing right, this week and a half is when you really start honing in on the target of what your story is, what your character is. You've been reading, you've read the text 9,000 times, you're starting to gel it in your head as far as memorization goes, and now the character and the story is starting to blossom like a flower. This is when I get really excited.
Yeah. No, it gives you goosebumps. And I got to ask, because I'm just kind of curious here, when it's all said and done, it's completed, do you get post-theater blues where it's like, because this is a routine for all of you guys, you're doing a lot and you're working together a lot. When it's all done and it's completed, do you guys are like, man, now what?
So... I feel like this is going to be a disappointing answer for me, personally.
I'm glad it's over.
No, that's not it. I'll be honest with you. It is, I love, this is so cliche. I love the process. I love the work. I love the collaboration. I love discovering the story as you keep reading it. I love finding the little moments that are going to last with an audience.
Yeah.
Once it gets to the audience, I'm done. So I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to put it, but I don't know if it's that cold. I was just talking about this with my therapist. Once the product is out, whatever. It does, I have no...
You did your part.
Not only did I do my part, I have sat in an audience before and then they laugh and I'm like, you just missed where you're supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
And it's they're not wrong, but it's no longer mine anymore.
Yeah.
So once it's there, I don't care about it. The process, any of it, right? I'm proud of the work, but I don't care. So that process of the blues thing comes right before that curtain.
Yeah, in a sense, it's like kind of raising a child.
Yeah.
You can walk now. Or, you can crawl, you can walk. All right, you can take care of yourself. All right, you're going off to college.
Right.
I care about you, but
right.
my time, I've done my job here. So
the blues part of it is a part that was hard. It's caused tension between my wife and I. once, and this comes from live and it kind of has filtered into living local. Once it's over and I get to that, it's yours, I don't care, what's next, right? So on the back end of that is, we got to fill this chasm between work, don't care, work. That chasm is where I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I going?
Yeah. Awesome. Tell us a little bit about the show. Where can you get tickets?
Yeah.
When is it?
February 6th is when we open. We run for 2 weekends. Sounds like a good date night, if you know what I mean, for Valentine's Day. You can get tickets at lacrossecommunitytheater.org. That is theater the R-E way, so THEATRE, lacrossecommunitytheater.org. It is Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike.
Get on it. I think tickets are going to fly because it is a date night thing.
It is, and it's in the black box, which is what I also love. With intimate theater, there's nowhere to hide, is what I keep telling casts. When it's about 100-seat theater, so we've got 4, 5, 7 runs, so that's not a lot of seats. So get your tickets now.
Awesome. Yeah, have dinner before and then go see a show.
Yeah.
So awesome. Before we wrap, I kind of want to talk about your job here, because what you do, you're creating content every day, being the digital executive producer here at Fox 2548, WI Proud. You're also living local host. Heck of a title. You do a lot. You create a lot. Creating content is artistry. Is that the word you used?
Sure. Yeah, I think I said artisanal, which I think when you talk about bread.
Yeah, I love bread too.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about your job. Do you feel that artist fulfillment when you are in front of the camera, producing, editing?
Sure.
Do you have a favorite, I guess, step in the creative process?
Sure. So yes, I do feel creatively fulfilled. It's a different thing than like directing or acting, you know, because this thing that I do here is me, right?
Yep.
I've been enamored with, I've idolized stand-up comedians for that very reason. I'm not saying that what I'm doing here is stand-up in any way, shape, or form, but what I love about them is how they stand up in front of an audience and go, this is me. Mm-hmm. The ones I really love are like, I'm just going to communicate with you. And that's kind of the energy I bring to all of that stuff. So what you're seeing is Steven, right? This is the Steven at home for the most part. It's kind of filtered or whatever, but the pretending to be charismatic is how I define it, is really fun to do. It's like a tap dancing. It's vaudeville, you know, it's improv with just a static partner.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Definitely. Well, you're great at what you do, you know, and we've heard pleasant feedback from the listeners, from the viewers, and it's just a pleasure to have you part of the team. So it's awesome. I got to ask, if you have to pick one, though, stage, screen, or behind the scenes, are you leaning, I guess I had to throw direct in there. Mm-hmm. So that's where you lean then, huh?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's tough. That is really tough. I will tell you. So as far as theater goes, I have done a little bit of screen work with some short films that I did. I don't care for that. I'm going to be honest with you.
Sure.
It's a tedious process. It's really hard to stay focused. And the end product, you really don't have any control over, because it's an editor and a photographer, and you just have to be happy with what they do. Be happy with what you put out. And not that I'm upset with anything, but it's just less control than I like. I've directed things where I've watched them sing, like I've watched the story just come to life, that have really made me really happy. However, I've also been on a stage in Chicago where the entire room erupted at a line that not only I wrote, but I also delivered.
Yeah.
There's a feeling that comes with that kind of thing that you can't replicate. Like you understand that now, why like superstars are drug addicts a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can't chase that feeling your whole life and not want it to be fulfilled.
Instant goosebumps.
So, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then I got to ask, dream role or dream show to direct?
Oh, so I have a really big idea for production of Misery that I want to do at the Pump House. I keep speaking it into existence to try to do it. That one's that's on my head right now. I really want to direct a show called God of Carnage as well. If you don't know it, look it up. It's an amazingly funny show. If you read it correctly, it's amazingly dark if you read it incorrectly. Those are probably where I'm at right now. As far as roles, and this actually is directing too, Martin McDonagh, who you would know from his movies, 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, In Bruges, the one, I can't think of the one with that just won an Oscar for Kehoe. Anyway, he is a playwright first. He wrote a play called The Pillow Man. That play really kind of broke me open. If I could play Michael again, that is probably the first time I played it. He stuck with me in really dark ways. I think I could play him in a way that I could find light in him this time.
Yeah, awesome, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Steven is someone who just shows up and creates, supports, directs, and spotlights others. So this was an honor and kind of fun to showcase what he's working on behind the scenes. You know, you see him every week on Living Local. You read what he writes. So this was a great opportunity to explore Stephen Walker. So did you like this?
I did. It was a lot more. I don't know. Did I get too serious on you? I don't know if I got too serious or okay.
No.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
It was good. Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you so much. I will see you right after this since we work together, but it's been a pleasure. So
Get out of my chair.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is Artist of the Month. Perfect.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then you could just trim whatever.